Welcome to the social construction of reality. So, in this class, we will be examining why things are real, what makes them real, which ultimately I will argue everything that you interact with on a day to day basis is real because of two main features: culture and nature. So, some things, say rocks, they're real because of nature. If there were no human cultures or societies, would rocks still exist? Yes, they would. They were here before human civilizations. They'll be here after human civilizations. On the other extreme, we have some things that are 100% socially constructed. Take like human languages. Would human languages exist without human cultures? Obviously not. They're part and parcel to the human experience, to societies themselves. However, lots of things are not in a kind of dichotomous either or nature or culture. Lots of things fall in a kind of continuum between these. And that's where things get kind of fun in this class to explore what is the joint nature culture makeup of some of the things that are very personal to us and important to us. Some of your values, your social roles, the social institutions that you live your life as a part of. Take something like being a mother or a father, right? We could say, well, that's nature because, reproduction is a natural process. People have offspring. That makes them a mother or a father. But on the flip side, we also know that the idea of, what makes a good mother or a good father, what roles and characteristics do you have to embody and play out to be deemed a good mother or father. And those are culturally relative and constructed, right? So the idea of, should you be very stern and authoritative or loving and nurturing, and those things can change not only person to person, but also there are different emphases over cultures, right? So many of the things that you interact with are fair game for this class for us to try and dissect, right? Marriage, democracy, freedom, love, religious affiliations, money, race, gender, on and on and on. We're going to look at a lot of really fascinating aspects of life. And so on one hand, you might think this class sounds sort of abstract, right? The social construction of reality. But really, we're going to be looking at very day-to-day, very concrete kinds of things. And so it'll be fascinating to try and tease out, the blend in some of these. Marriage, for example, many cultures have some version of it, but when we compare cross-culturally, we see that it's functions very differently in different societies, in different times, and even to sub-communities and cultures within the same society. I mentioned rocks, right? But even that's not as clear cut as you think, right? Take like diamond. We clearly put cultural meaning on diamond compared to some piece of sandstone you'll find on the ground, right? And you might say, well, that's because naturally diamond is more rare in nature. But that's not entirely true anymore, right? We can grow diamond in lab now, but we've attributed a kind of cultural value on diamond, right? It's the appropriate stone for a wedding ring, for example. And so one thing that I want to make clear is that when we call something a social construction, we are doing the opposite of saying it's not real. We're describing how and why it's real. It's real more because of culture than nature. We might not be saying it's 100% due to culture, but we want to understand the role that culture plays in crafting the reality to us of whatever this entity or social phenomenon or institution or personal identity that is in question. We are absolutely not saying that something is inherently less real by saying that it's a social construction. So that's just right up front, know that. And nor are we saying that everything that is a social construction is somehow problematic. Right. So sometimes people will say, they'll pick an institution they're not particularly happy with, the patriarchy or something like that. And they'll say, well, it's just a social construction. Therefore, we can tear it down and build it differently. And that misses that. It's not entirely untrue. There are structures that can be adapted. Socially constructed things are far more malleable than naturally constructed things. But not everything that is social construction is inherently problematic. Right. Take human rights. You don't dig that up out of the ground. It's not in the fossil record. It is a social construction. It's crafted through human language and institutions and ideas and cultures, right? But it's still something we think is very valuable, very important. And so to call something a social construction is neither to question its reality nor to inherently proclaim that it's somehow problematic. Now, it could be, but that's a separate, analysis or feature that you'd have to argue for or assert. So there's a lot to explore in this class, and I hope you find the material thought-provoking and really engaging. Thanks.